What's up everybody, Mark Brown here with 11 Aviation. I've spent the last 10 years working for the OEM and flying the Kodiaks for over 7,500 hours. Here I am in Colorado in front of this beautiful, immaculate 2019 Kodiak 100 Series 2. We're going to talk a little bit about this airplane today, and we're also going to talk a little bit about what sets the Series 2 block change apart from the other Kodiak 100s that are out there. So Kodiak rolled out Series 2 actually in mid-2018. It started in the 240 serial numbers, but to date, it was and is the largest major change in the Kodiak 100 product line. So we had Series 1 prior to that, and then there was a legacy model Kodiak prior to that. And you can look at some of the other videos for specifics on those. But Series 2, when it came out in 2018, was really a game changer for the maturation of the Kodiak 100 product line. There were a lot of changes that went into this block change. Before we start, what stayed the same? So all Kodiak 100s from day one have had a -34 PT6 engine that produced 750 horsepower, 700 continuous. They've all been the same size, so all the 100s have always had the same fuselage, the same wing, the same empennage. And so the size and interior volume and the engine have been the same throughout. But what has changed on especially the Series 2 is the avionics, the panel layout, and then the interior has changed drastically over the years. Things like the executive interior have been rolled out, sound dampening, wire harness improvements, upgrades to the electronics or creature comforts like USB ports. And so the Series 2 had a lot of those things, and I'll talk about a couple of them in this video. So here we are in front of this beautiful 2019 Series 2. The big thing with Series 2 is the new paint jobs that came out. So prior to Series 2, all Kodiaks from 2007 through beginning of 2018 had that same bear claw striped Kodiak paint job. And with Series 2, they really wanted to differentiate what a Series 2 is from a Series 1 or Legacy. And so they came out with a couple new standard schemes. So this is a standard Kodiak 100 Series 2 scheme. It's in this beautiful Miss Ashley red, Seahawk gray, and Matterhorn white color combo. The standard colors, the standard schemes all had 3 colors. So you see the red, gray, and white. Series 2 came standard with the 4-bladed Hartzell metal propeller. Of course, we already talked about that it had the -34 PT6. A couple of the options that you could get with Series 2 were the large tires. Those were still an option at that time. So there was a smaller tire size and then a larger tire size. The interesting thing about the large 29-inch low pressure tires, not only can they improve your backcountry performance, they also come with a supplement that raises your landing weight, max takeoff and max landing weight as being equal. So 7,255 pounds was the max takeoff and max landing weight with the large tire option. Of course, with Series 2, you could also get the external cargo compartment, which is also known as the cargo pod. And the TKS tank could also be put in the console, which is on this particular airplane. This has a TKS tank in the cargo pod. But really, firewall forward, there weren't a lot of changes. Behind here, the oil cooler changed a little bit. We took some weight out. We made the oil cooler smaller and more efficient. And a few other minor changes. The environmentals got a bit of an upgrade, and so the heating in front of the firewall also got a bit of an upgrade with Series 2. But really the big differences with Series 2 are up here on the panel, which I'll get to in just a moment. But working our way further back, of course, we have TKS. And this airplane has this mud flap and mud scraper STC, which actually is available for all Kodiak models. It's made by a company called Aerotwin, but this airplane has them. We don't see those a lot here in the US, but if you're landing on gravel or off airport a whole lot, those can really be helpful for you. Series 2 on the other wing has the GWX-70 weather radar. So that was kind of the first major digital weather radar change from Garmin, and that became available on the Series 2 Kodiaks. And moving back here, The empennage and the tail pretty much stayed the same on most Kodiaks. This particular airplane has the large oxygen bottle, so the 10-place oxygen, which became standard with the executive interior, which this airplane has. All right, here we are in the cockpit of a Kodiak 100 Series 2. So this is really where the majority of the changes came with the Series 2 introduction. So there's way too many to list. I think there was, over a couple hundred changes that were made with the Series 2, some as small as just screw placements or rivet placements, but this is really where the big changes happened, was up here for the pilot. So the major one was they replaced the legacy G1000 with the G1000 NXi suite, which as a test pilot for the NXi suite when it came out, I was actually a bit skeptical when Garmin introduced it to us and was telling us about it. I didn't think it would be that game-changing. And then I started doing the flight test for it in this product, in the Kodiak 100, and I was really amazed. I was actually really amazed. It's kind of the best way to describe it. It's like going from an iPhone 4 to an iPhone 15. It's faster, it's quicker, it's brighter, it looks better, it has more features, it's upgradable. So the NXi has become, in my opinion, a really great thing to have, and the Series 2 block change was the first with the NXi. And when they changed the NXi suite, it also gave them a chance to kind of look at the ergonomics of the cockpit as a whole and change other bits and pieces. So over here, over my left shoulder, is the 4-in-1 digital standby. In the Legacy and Series 1 Kodiaks, we had the analog gauges over here. And by going to this 4-in-1 standby, we were able to we had some extra space, so they added a glove box over on this side. They also added a glove box on the far right-hand side of the co-pilot seat, so just some more cockpit storage. They changed some of the lighting. They really updated pretty much everything behind the scenes here. Audio panels, everything was updated. The weather radar became a digital GWX-70 weather radar. So a lot of upgrades in the Series 2 for the pilots. And the big thing with Garmin is the Legacy G1000. Not only was it around for 10 years, but one of the big issues with that towards the end of its life was it just was no longer upgradable. So Garmin comes out with things like Surface Watch or Chart View or different features, and if you upgrade your software and maybe pay a little bit more, you can actually upgrade to have those features on not just the Kodiak product line, but a lot of the different Garmin product lines. And the Legacy G1000 just was capped. There was no more space, there was no more storage, RAM, etc. left over. And so when you have the G1000 NXi, they're still to this day upgrading this feature set and adding features to it. Not all that are capable with the Kodiak product line, but a lot of them are. And having the G1000 NXi kind of sort of future-proofs the plane. I'm sure they're going to come out with something else in the future, but for the time being, this is the latest and the greatest. So here we are in the back of the Kodiak 100 Series 2, and even though most of the Series 2 changes took place up in the cockpit and in the exterior, there were quite a few cabin and interior refinements that were made. So in the Series 2, the rear entry, the cargo door steps were upgraded, so they were a lot quieter and worked a little bit better and could handle more weight. They also changed the cabin insulation a little bit, especially in the Summit interior, to be quite a bit quieter. Now it's not, it's not orders of magnitude quieter, but every little bit counts. Another big feature they came out with was the LEMO plugs for the headsets up in the front for the pilots. So they're plane powered, so you don't have to worry about batteries anymore. One of the other big massive changes that happened with the Series 2 introduction was the cabin ceiling that happened. And by that, I mean, not only did they look at the sidewall insulation to make it quieter back here, but they also really looked at where was any extraneous airflow getting into the cabin and sealed that up. And why that matters is it makes this aft compartment, not only does the air conditioning and the heating and the environmental system work a lot better, it also prevents any unwanted exhaust or anything else from outside to get into the cabin, or any of that hot or cold air that's in the cabin to get outside. So it just made things a lot more comfortable for the passengers here in the back. So a bunch of other little small things changed with Series 2. There were hundreds of different changes, some very small, some, you know, small things like the sun visors. Rosen made specific sun visors for the Kodiak product line that fit a little bit better and were more ergonomic. So there was a lot of changes. Series 2 is by far the biggest block change that the Kodiak 100 product line has had to date. Series 3 built on the Series 2, but Series 2 was by far the biggest change. Some of these changes I get asked a lot about, are they retrofittable or not? So some are, some are not. So the G1000 NXi suite definitely can be retrofitted, although it's not exactly the same as what's in an actual Series 2 aircraft. You get some of the LRUs, but not all of them. You know, you can always call us. We can walk you through what's possible, what's not possible, what's the most efficient or quickest, what's the best use for money. Is it better to buy Series 2 or better to buy Legacy or Series 1 and upgrade it? So all those type of things, we can really, you know, work with you and help consult you through what's best for your buying and your budget. So with that said, this has been a really quick shotgun overview of the Kodiak 100 Series 2. Please give us a call if you have any questions or want some help in your Kodiak searches.